night's game, how do we play without our cornerback? So this defense had been playing stellar. It's kind of been the talk of one of the early season stories. New Orleans defense and running the football without their cornerbacks, they look totally different. So we'll have to watch going forward. The Rams, it's a great recovery game from the Minnesota. Like Minnesota, they had a chance to go up 14-7 for halftime. Cup fumbles the ball before halftime. The Vikings rally in the second half. So they came back with a complete football game. You like to see that with a young team that hasn't won a lot. But New Orleans, I need to wait and see. Cornerback play is precious in the NFL. Nick don't think it's important.
No, that's not
but
true.
The Rams, the Rams were fortunate with New Orleans, who they were facing.
And CeCe's absolutely right. They really, especially, they were without both their top corners. But Marshawn Lattimore, the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year up to this point, seeing how healthy he will be when he comes back is enormous for the Saints. Assuming that he comes back close to the form he was in before, I would say the Saints are their team moving forward. But I was not only really impressed by the Rams as a whole, but by Sean McVay's aggressive game plan, even with a lead late. I thought they were great.
All right, moving on. The Panthers held on to beat the Jets 35-27. Cam Newton struggled in this one, only going 11 for 28, but ran one in for a touchdown. Nick, still buying Panthers as legit contenders in the NFC after struggling against the Jets?
Of course. The defense scored a touchdown. The special teams scored a touchdown. They found a way to win on the road against a team playing for its playoff life, despite Cam playing terribly. Like, I mean, there's no way around that. Cam was really bad, but we know 1 week is not indicative of the next week for Cam's performance. CeCe, you've talked about him being like a inconsistent player throughout the year. What's been consistent for them is the defense. Now, I would be worried about Greg Olsen. He came back with the foot injury. He left the game. They said it was just because it was sore. Cam needs that weapon back, even though you're seeing him miss him on the touchdown.
In a game like this, especially where they were down, the Jets could have easily won this game. You know the Greg Olsen, the soreness in the foot. I broke my foot and tried to come back during the season. It's sore. Practice is going to be precious. This is really the story for Carolina. Because without Greg Olsen, I believe, who is the #1 receiver, Cam was very inconsistent. Funchess has really developed, though.
Funchess play well.
The Falcons beat the Bucs 34-20. Julio Jones, who hadn't scored a touchdown since Week 7, finally showed up, catching 12 balls for 253 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right, CeCe, how impressed were you with Julio's performance?
He put on a clinic. Like, if I was teaching kids at a football camp, I would have Julio Jones out there running every route. He ran from the slot. He ran outside. He ran crossing routes. He ran dig routes. He ran slant routes. He ran post corner routes. He ran almost every route that you could possibly run, and the reason why the last 5 years he's been either 1 or 2 of the best receivers is because he has that variety in his game. Now, Dallas, the reason why Dez Bryant, I criticize him a lot, because he's direct opposite of Julio Jones. He can only play in one spot, and he only runs a few routes. Julio was amazing last night.
With Odell injured, no doubt 2 best receivers in the league are Julio and Antonio Brown.
And maybe even with Odell healthy.
Correct, absolutely. But with him injured, there's no question about it. They both put on a clinic yesterday. And Julio's been really good all year. He just hasn't been getting the touchdown numbers.
Yes.
But, yesterday it looked like early in the fourth quarter he might have another 300-yard game. He had to settle for 253.
How about the Kansas City Chiefs? They lost again yesterday, Nick, right? Yeah. Buffalo beat them 16-10. Kansas City has now lost 5 of their last 6 games. Alex Smith struggling again, going 23 of 36 with a touchdown and a pick. Nick, is it time to replace Alex Smith as the Chiefs' starting quarterback?
Quickly, shout out.
Hey, man.
Shout out to Tyrod Taylor. He, of course, handled everything with grace, got his team a win, and played well, didn't turn the ball over. On this question, yes, the answer is yes. You traded 2 first-round picks for Patrick Mahomes. First time you have drafted a quarterback in the first round since 1983 when they took Todd Blackledge. So, yeah, get him on the field now that Alex Smith has gone from league MVP through 5 games to awful quarterback through 11 games. But Andy Reid said they're not going to do it.
No, they're not going to do it. Alex Smith in the last year of his contract, I give him 1 more week, Nick, and that's because he started off so nice. During the game, I wanted to see Mahomes. I really did. I wanted to see him because this Kansas City team, you're talking about a tale of 2 different seasons, the way we started out the first 5-6 games, and now this season, I'm totally shocked by the lack of offensive productivity by the Chiefs.
And finally, the University of Tennessee was prepared to announce Greg Schiano as their new football coach. In fact, They had all but signed on the dotted line, but the deal broke down at the 11th hour after fans protested the hire because of Schiano's alleged knowledge of the Jerry Sandusky scandal at Penn State. CeCe, what was your reaction to what happened to Coach Schiano last night?
I think we're on a slippery slope. You know, if university and administrators start listening to college students and start listening to the Twitter world, like how your reputation can be ruined over something like this. Like they don't have any proof, all hearsay. The state of Pennsylvania did an investigation, very, very thorough. Greg Schiano has denied what people are reporting. That he saw any wrongdoing while he was at Penn State from 1990 to 1995. So it's amazing to me how people can start something and damage someone's reputation. You're talking about, this is a great job. And he turned down a couple of jobs last year, I know, because Urban Meyer is a personal friend of mine, to stay at Ohio State as their defensive coordinator. He's a good man. He's a great coach. He's a good father. All those things that I do know, those aren't rumors and everything. All these other things as far as Penn State's concerned. Now, if you want to say you're not happy with the hire, oh, we deserve someone better. Well, yeah, okay, well, let's keep it in that lane. But trying to smear his whole, his life. I mean, his whole life is trying to be smeared behind the Penn State scandal, and the rumors are unjustified. No one can prove these things, and it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen to a university like Tennessee. They've decided, they had a search committee. The search committee picked this guy. You sign him, and then now all of a sudden rumors start to be released that he's going to be your coach, and you start listening to the internet. To me, we're going in the wrong direction if we start listening to social media when who we're going to hire and who we're going to believe.
All right, if they weren't on Twitter, if they were just watching football yesterday, wake up this morning, they have no idea what happened. Let me just give a little background here. Back in 2015, Mike McQueary gave some testimony in a deposition where he says he heard that someone else heard that Greg Schiano once walked into a meeting in the early 90s, white as a ghost, saying he had seen Jerry Sandusky with a kid. So it was secondhand hearsay. The person he claims to have heard it from, former coach Tom Bradley, said under oath as well, that never happened. So I don't know if it happened or not. I know it's one line when, as you mentioned, the Pennsylvania Attorney General, there were investigation on investigation on investigation. No one got Greg Schiano wrapped up in it. No one charged him. No one made him a person of interest. None of that happened. I know that Ohio State can get damn near any coach in the nation and does a very good vetting process. They were comfortable with Greg Schiano before this testimony, during this testimony, and after the testimony became public. So we know all that. So, but I can't sit here and say I know Greg Schiano did or didn't. What I do know is this is all based on one line of a deposition that is secondhand hearsay.
Yeah, let's look at the people who didn't believe the hearsay. All right? Rutgers, the tenure he had there, they didn't believe the hearsay. They hired him. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, pretty big organization. They hired him. Well, let's go. ESPN. ESPN hired him. Then Ohio State hired him. So all these people didn't do background checks? Well, or who are we going to listen to? Because I know all these people did do background checks.
And my problem is what you touched on. This should be scary for everyone. Because this was, and I am an avid Twitter user, this was the Twitter mob changing someone's life, changing their ability to be employed, for something that people that are actually invested in knowing the details clearly don't believe to be true. This was also, in my estimation, a callous and shameful exploitation of child abuse. Because these were people, in large part, that were angry that Greg Schiano was hired because they don't think he's a good football coach. Now, that's a fairly debatable point. Like, people want to make the pro-con, that's fine. But you can't get the university to rescind an invitation or an offer based on, we just don't think he's a good football coach. So they bring, these people are not worried about the safety and welfare of the children at Penn State. They don't want the Tennessee Volunteers to hire a coach they think is a bad coach. And they used that, and all of a sudden, elected officials in Tennessee are chiming in on it. I mean, a lot of people are chiming in on this just because, well, The Twitter mob has shifted this way, so I'm just going to go with it. That should be scary for anybody, whether you're in the public eye or not.
Were university officials more concerned with that or more concerned with they were going to have now a gigantic headache on their hands with protests and college kids just, you know, protesting this left and right, all different parts of the campus? I wonder what was their bigger
Well, you had a combination of political people and college kids. So we can't say which one got their attention, but they do have a big rock there at the University of Tennessee. The kids put a message on that. That's kind of their message board there on campus. It wasn't very flattering, and it wasn't truthful as far as what Greg Schiano, what people can prove. So Tennessee, also, they're in la-la land. They act like this is one of the top 5 jobs in the world. Okay? Watch who they end up getting at Tennessee. And there's a reason why the last 3 or 4 coaches have failed. And you wonder why Lane Kiffin, when he went to USC, why he left in the middle of the night? It's because a mob like that was after him because he wanted a better job. The people of Tennessee didn't want him to leave. Now they don't want Greg Schiano there, so now the angry mob is back at it again.
All right, we're going to move on to what most would deem the 2 best teams in the NFL. Carson Wentz and the Eagles cruised over the Bears 31-3, winning their 9th straight game. In the AFC, the Patriots beat the Dolphins 35-17, their 7th straight victory. Eagles are 10-1. Patriots are 9-2. Nick, are the Birds and the Pats on a Super Bowl collision course here?
I am not ready to say they are on a Super Bowl collision course. I'm not ready to say either of these teams is going to make the Super Bowl. What I am ready to say is this. Man, oh man, the questions that I had about each of these teams the last month, they have answered resoundingly, not because they've both been, they haven't lost, but the way they've won. What was my concern about the Philadelphia Eagles? That pass defense. All these things were great on the team except for the pass defense. Oh, since week 8, they have the #1 pass defense in the NFL. What was my concern about Tom Brady? Once the year goes on, the hits accumulate, the weather gets a little bit colder, how is he going to respond at 40 years old? Oh, the last 3 games, he's played the best 3 games of the season for him. So I have to be fair here, and Cece, as you always say, as you get more information, you can evolve on your thought process. I think
the only reason why you're being fair is because you know I'm talking after you.
No, it's because right now I can't stand up here, sit up here and say the Eagles aren't good. The Pats are wildly overrated. Now, I believe the Steelers are better than the Patriots. I think there are teams in the NFC that can beat the Eagles. That's why I won't say they're on a Super Bowl collision course. But these are obviously 2 of the best teams in football, and they are somehow playing their best football of the year. I shouldn't say somehow. They are playing their best football of the year right now. I got to give them credit.
Well, Jenna, if there is a collision course, these are the 2 teams on it, regardless of what facts that we don't want to be presented. In this case, they're playing the best 2. Philadelphia's got the best record. If you look at what they're doing offensively and defensively, yes, if you had to pick a team today, there's no other team in the NFC you would pick over Philadelphia. Not unless you just got some type of grudge or you pick someone else. But if you've watched 12 weeks of the season, there's no way you think there's another team as good as Philadelphia in the NFC. And the Patriots have proven, tried and true. They lost 2 games, got off to a slow start. But look at Belichick's record. He starts off slow. Then he bounces back in October. Then he gets better in November. Then he's at his best in December and January. So not surprised at all. Yes, the Patriots, too, making adjustments. Yesterday in the Dolphins game, Tom Brady got hit more than he's used to getting hit. Now, that's a sign that we have to watch coming down the stretch. Has nothing to do with his age, but watch the injuries that they have on that offensive line. How will they be able to protect him? Because I believe Tom will get hit in the month of December more than any other month thus far.
I'm curious to know what else the Eagles have to do for you to say, you know what, this is actually, forget the records, take the records out. This is a team led by a quarterback, league-leading 28 touchdowns. He's got 5 picks on the year. You just saw the Saints fall. You know the way Seattle's playing. Packers are no longer an issue. What else do the Eagles have to do to prove to you that they are, without fail, the best team in the NFC?
Well, we're sitting here acting like there aren't at least 1, if not 2 other really good teams in the conference.
Tell me who they are.
Your Minnesota Vikings. What did the Minnesota Vikings, I know they played Thursday, so they're not top of mind. Minnesota Vikings looked awesome this week.
Without probably a starting quarterback. You don't know who you have, and you guys talk all the time about
good,
that
Jenna.
team, that position
Very good,
can
Jenna.
keep you in a
Matter of
game,
fact,
but
I'm gonna
maybe
sit
they
out. Let me get a
can't win
minute.
a game.
Go ahead, Jenna.
No.
Okay.
Okay, but that, I mean, you can say without a starting quarterback.
What about the Carolina team you think is so great?
Hold on.
Against the Jets
I
yesterday.
haven't said Carolina's better than the Eagles. Hold on a second. Let me answer the Minnesota one if you're going to sit out and hot breath mint. I can't believe you're saying without a quarterback for Minnesota when it seems like the argument's been they might have two quarterbacks. I know how highly you think of Case Keenum. You know how highly I think of Teddy Bridgewater. So
you haven't seen Teddy Bridgewater
no matter
play,
when we play, no matter who they play and when they play, let me tell you what the headline's going to be. Can Case get it done? Can Case win a playoff game? Can the Vikings advance with Case? Okay. Or if it's Teddy, what does Teddy have?
Okay. And
what level is he? Are we worried about his knee?
That's all fair. But you, listen, again, let me reiterate. I gave the Eagles and Patriots props at the beginning of this, but now you guys are asking me to declare them the best in the league. CeCe.
No, I said give me someone who's better.
CeCe, you used two very different arguments for the Eagles and the Patriots because those arguments don't apply to the other ones. For the Patriots, it's about track record. For the Eagles, it's about what they're doing right now. Because if I want to talk about track record, I can talk about track record of young quarterbacks in their first career playoffs, and it's not a great one. And if we're talking about how they're playing right now, I can easily make the case the Steelers, 9-2, are just as good, if not better than the Patriots. So I get it. We can both construct the arguments. I'm not sitting here saying they're bad football teams. I said a month ago the Eagles were going to finish 11-5. That looks ridiculous, okay? Like, that was clear that that's not going to happen. The Eagles have a great chance to have the #1 seed in the NFC. But I'm not anointing them to the Super Bowl. I'm just not doing it.
No problem. Okay. They're on a collision course, though.
Collision course.
No problem.
Coming up.
He's going to be like the people that were saying Atlanta last year. Oh, you see Atlanta?